It's a chill and relaxing day on today's show because today is React Day. We'll be taking a break from all the gameplay that we've been doing nonstop in this extended streaming week, talk a little bit about the games, talk a little bit about attendance and everything else going on, and of course look forward to a nice relaxing day of reacting to the stuff that you guys have submitted or voted for. It's always a great time on Sundays, so I'll see you in just a sec for today's show of the Level 1 Podcast. Alrighty, good morning, everyone. You know what I forgot to ask you guys? In the last few days, where I now have a different audio level with my microphone, how does the intro sound? Does the intro sound still balanced, or does it sound too low now? Because now everything else, the volume's up, and I'm curious if you know, it's sounding good or not. If not, I can adjust, but I would like feedback on that, so please let me know. So welcome to the show. I'm ready for reacting. Look at me. Nice and comfy in my nice cardigan sweater. This is my birthday. Wow. This was my Christmas present for my wife. So I love it. It's super comfy when I get to wear it. But it has to be on days when it's cooler. And today it is full clouds outside, raining all day. A typical spring situation here, even though it's not spring yet. But we have a lot of showers and things around this time of year. So I'm ready. Ready for a relaxing and fun and chill day. So welcome to the show. Now, to give you a little bit of a preface here, this show will not have too much crazy stuff to talk about because game news has been very quiet. There's like one thing going on in game news that's this big controversial topic. Some would say it's a conspiracy theory. Some would say no, the evidence is there. So we may or may not talk about that today. It's this sweet baby ink thing that's going on because people have been mentioning it in my chat recently, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. So I looked into it, and I'm like, oh, well, no wonder it's not being talked mainstream because, number one, it does feel a lot like a conspiracy, and number two, it may be that certain mainstream parties just don't want to talk about it because it is something that's been going on behind the scenes. But at the same time, I don't really like, you know me, I don't really like to go too much into the realm of speculation and or conspiracy when there's nothing there. I mean, a few weeks ago, we had people saying that Xbox was no longer going to publish video games exclusively for their own console and instead go full third party, and it was complete bullshit. So I don't like jumping on those bandwagons, right? Anyway, today, we'll just relax a bit. We talk a little bit about a few things, like some updates and things that are going on, regards to emotes and things like that. The status of everything going on each of my channels, because, you know, I realize don't really talk about that much. You know, I tell you what's going on each channel, but we never really like sit down and assess how's everything going on each channel right now, right? And I'd like to talk a little bit about that. It's weird because it's kind of all over the place. On some channels, things are up, some things are down, some things are just kind of normal. And I like to sit down and maybe assess that, discuss it a little bit, and talk a little bit of an update about all the games and things I'm playing, my thoughts on them. Now we're taking a day or two away from those games, right? And just kind of relax today. Again, no pressure today. Just kind of a relaxing day, sitting back, cozy. And then when we're done with the show, we head over to DSP Reacts, where it's DSP versus the Internet, my weekly clips react show, where I react to the clips that the members of that channel submit. We've got a fresh batch for today, all set up and ready to go. And later tonight, another react stream over on my DSP Throwback channel. It's Retro React to Heavy Rain continuing on. And like I said, we're going to talk about each channel, and I'm actually very pleased with how that's been going, so we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. So, good stuff, okay? Anyway, first of all, before we get to talking about the current games I'm playing, what I'd like to talk about is some of the updates and things going on all the channels. So you may have noticed, number one, the audio has shifted. Something that people have complained about for many, many years is that my audio is too low. So finally, in the last 2 weeks, we've been adjusting this on the fly, almost daily. And I think now we may have finally hit that happy level where the microphone sounds good. The games are now being adjusted to be in line with that microphone volume. The one problem now is everything else. Like, for example, I just said the intro to the show may now sound too low because everything else has increased in volume. So maybe I'll have to mess with that because, for example, I'm going to click on the intro just so you guys know it's going to play. Hold on a second. Okay. Okay, I know that was weird, but what I had to do is I adjusted the volume a little bit on those to make them a little bit louder. So maybe they'll sound better now. But I am hoping that you guys like the new adjustments. It's funny because people talk about this all the time. Oh, his volume's always low. It's lower than every other YouTuber. I've adjusted it, and in general, on the streams, people seem to like it, but I'm not seeing anyone comment about it. It's weird. You think people would be like, oh, the volume is adjusted now. It sounds better. But I'm not seeing comments like that at all on my videos. So are people really noticing? I don't know. For what I'm really to understand, the most jarring thing is YouTube ads. YouTube ad volume apparently is just ridiculously loud compared to any content on YouTube. So you'll be watching a YouTube video, and all of a sudden in the middle of the video goes to play an ad, and it just like blows your ears out. Now, you know when that used to happen all the time? On television. Because, back in the day, the 80s and 90s, this was a bad thing that used to happen on TV, where you'd be watching TV, it would go to commercial break, and it would be twice the volume of the show you were just watching, and everyone would freak out, like, what the hell? This was done on purpose. Back in the day, they purposefully did this because they thought, oh, on a commercial break, you might get up out of your room and go to another room to do something because it's a commercial break. They want you to hear the ad in the other room. That's why they would do that. Now, I think there's actually have been laws against that now because they were actually increasing the decibel level so bad it was hurting people's ears, and I think that they changed it. But anyway, I mean, obviously I don't want that to happen on my channel here and on my videos, so hopefully things are being adjusted properly now. It's been a long time since I really did these experiments, but now I'm more open to them and messing around, realizing, I could have fixed this a billion years ago, but I'm an idiot, but what are you going to do? Do it now, right? Don't dwell on the past and your shortcomings of things in the past, but focus on the today and what you can do today to improve, right? So hopefully you guys like the sound adjustments. Now, if we have problems, for example, if people seem to think that the mic volume is blowing out too often or too loud, or it's called clipping, we can do things with filter adjustments and the like. I don't want to really do that unless we need to. Again, I haven't really seen too much feedback in regards to the microphone adjustment, so I don't know how good it is or not. I need your feedback. Please let me know if you're watching this podcast. If you watch my gameplay videos, anything that I'm doing right now, let me know how the stuff sounds so I can adjust it, okay? This is also going to go for all the React stuff I'm doing today. I need to be sure that what I'm reacting to is at a good volume, so please let me know as well, okay? Now, some other things going on. Emotes. We have had a big, huge emote update here on DSPGaming. If you guys aren't aware, just in the past few weeks on the fly, we have been changing around emotes. And the thing is, previous to now, I was very apprehensive about changing emotes on the channel because at least 2 years ago, when I was actively trying to do this, the way that YouTube was using emotes was very different than apparently how it works today and how it works on Twitch. See, on Twitch TV, when you earn an emote slot, it's because you have a certain number of paid subscribers, and it unlocks that slot permanently. It never goes away, okay? On YouTube, it was. So, for example, on YouTube, let's say 1 month someone gifted a ton of memberships to this channel. All of a sudden, I would unlock 5 new emote slots, so I would fill them up. But then, if those gifted emotes or these gifted memberships expired and no one renewed them, I would actually lose those spots if I removed the emotes. Apparently now that's not the case because we've been swapping around emotes for upgraded versions or completely new ones, and it seems like the emote spots might actually be unlocking permanently now. Okay? So, yeah, hopefully this is the case. because that would be great to be able to swap emotes around and improve them and do things. That's exactly why I've avoided upgrading emotes on YouTube in the almost 3 years that I've been here full-time streaming, because you can't. If you change it, you lose it, right? So obviously what's happened is in the last few months with all of the fake gifted memberships, the thing is they're really not fake, but it's so stupid to explain. I don't get paid for them because people are abusing VPNs and paying like less than a penny each or something crazy like that. So I don't get paid for those memberships, all right? But getting so many of those gifted memberships unlocked a ton of emote slots on this channel. So I actually ended up doing a bunch of new emotes. And really, they weren't new. It was just emotes that I had left over from the Twitch days that had never been added to YouTube. So I basically just kind of added them all. All right, and then I started adding new ones, like me in the Ryu headband and me with the Ken hair and stuff like that. So what's happened now is the gifted memberships have calmed down. We have way less now. But we tried messing around with the emotes, and apparently it's working, meaning it doesn't look like I'm losing any emote slots. Like I'm keeping what I've earned now. So that's cool, because it means now that we can actively upgrade or replace emotes with new ones and not have to worry about losing the slot. So just in the last few weeks, some of the new emotes that have been added. So we've got me in a Viking hat, which has been something that's a staple of the Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. Me, like I said, with the Ryu headband, me with the Ryu headband with glowing eyes, me with the Ken wig, okay? Then on top of that, more recent ones that have been added in the last couple of weeks, we had a new lead-in manual ban. All right. And the funny part about that emote, the leaned in manual ban emote, is it doesn't really apply now. For the last week, I don't have to do lean in manual banning anymore because I don't have this giant pop guard in front of my microphone blocking my view of the stream chat. Like I can literally right now just go over with this and ban someone, or I usually use my right hand like this. So there's no leaning in. It's different. It's kind of outdated. Anyone remember? I used to have the bottle crunch emotes. When I used to drink bottled water instead of filtered water or these giant seltzers, I used to crunch a bottle on stream once a day, and then people would, okay, we have an emote of that, so I made one, but then it became outdated. So the thing is, the lean in manual ban emote is kind of a classic. I don't know if it's going to apply forever. Like, it's the old pop guard. It doesn't really matter anymore because it's not like that anymore, but we'll see. We had a new one that was me in a blue pullover that I wore one day. And people were like, it's nice that it's new, but it's hard to discern you from the mic because you're wearing a darker colored pullover with the black microphone. We like the old one better, so we reverted it back to the old one. But we've got a lot of new stuff. We've got 2 emotes that have been massively upgraded. It's both of the text emotes. So the Why Am I Toxic and the Nothing I Could Do emotes are now fully upgraded in more visible HD text. If you don't know this, those emotes were some of the earliest emotes I ever used as a live streamer. Those have been around for 10 years. Yes, those emotes originated a decade ago when I first started streaming on Twitch TV. So we were using emotes that were 10 years old and blurry over and over and over. That's why they looked so bad, okay? But now they've been upgraded, and I think people really like how clear they look now. Particularly now, most people are using HD, devices. You're using your smartphone. You're using something that's HD. Back then, everything was fuzzy anyway 10 years ago. But now everything's good, and you get, wow, I can really read. It's legible now, right? Some emotes have been massively upgraded. For example, my dab emote, as well as, I believe, the blind emote, it might be. And some of the other ones, like, for example, the emotes where I'm either looking like this or like this with the smile, those 2 are now upgraded to a more HD quality. And you're going to notice this. You're going to notice that a lot of the emotes have been upgraded to a better quality than the old blurriness that used to be. I'm not even sure exactly of every single emote that has been. But it's cool. It feels a little bit refreshing. Now, some newer emotes that were just added this week. We've got me in the cloud hair from the PS1 version of Final Fantasy VII. But now we have me with this ridiculous wig that was donated by a fan. All right, me wearing this wig with my Gunner glasses on, and I totally look like Garth from Wayne's World. So we've got an emote of that too, okay? So we got all of these emotes recently all added and upgraded. I want to give a big shout out to my editors because just so you know, I didn't do any of this, all right? In reality, if I had time, if I had, the means to do this, I would do this kind of stuff for you guys, but I don't. You know, I'm already in here all day streaming and making content for you. I don't have extra hours at the end of the day to sit around and upgrade stuff and do this kind of stuff. And in reality, I'll be a little honest here. My editors for a few weeks have been asking me, hey, can you just send us the old emotes? Can you like zip them up and send them to us so that we can manually update them and then, you know, upgrade them on the channel? And I'm like, I don't have time. Like, I've been doing this now, live streaming, for over 10 years. I actually started in 2013. My emotes are literally all over my PC. Over the years, you know, someone would send me a new batch. Oh, you want to look at these? I put them in a folder. I look at them. Oh, I like this one. I like this one. So I move those over to a different folder, and I use them, and the other ones are over here. So no exaggeration. I've got emotes on my local hard drive. I've got emotes on my storage hard drive. I've got emotes in folders from last year, this year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years ago. I got a folder that says Twitch emotes that has a lot of them in it. I got a folder that says new emotes for 2022 that has a lot of them in it. So I would literally, no exaggeration, have to sit here for like hours going through all the folders on my computer to even find them. So that's why I'm basically like, I wish I could, but I don't just have the time right now. Right now, I'm super busy. To give you guys some perspective, not only am I still doing all my full-time streaming, working on the DSP Throwback channel daily to name videos and do stuff there, because I'm watching back that content every day to name it, okay? But on top of all of that, I got stuff going on in my personal life, and that's been taken away. You know, my stream times have to stagger a little bit, and there's other stuff going on behind the scenes, and all this compiling, right, is taking up a lot of my time and it's the stress level. I mean, I was really stressed out earlier this week because of stuff, and I wish that I had more time to do this kind of stuff, and I just don't. You know, I'm already kind of pulled in every direction. And it was funny because someone just said in the chat, I think it was Fed Roger in the chat this morning. He says, "Can you imagine if you were going forward with the documentary?" And I was like, holy shit, the documentary. If I was going to do it, we were going to start filming like right now. Like it was going to be the first couple of weeks of March when the filming was going to begin on that thing. And I was thinking, how in the holy hell would I have done that? How would I have been filming this documentary, right? While also doing all of this other stuff. I don't know how it would have happened. Like, I think what would have happened was the whole thing would have sucked. Like, probably I would have tried my best, but likely I would have been so burnt out, overtired, that it would have sucked, and then my streams would have suffered too because I wouldn't have been streaming as much. Plus, when I'm here, I probably would have been all stressed out, yelling, screaming, being stupid, being grumpy and shit. You know what I mean? So, are you kidding me? See, I didn't even know that. Darkwing Duck says, Mike Klum has decided to do one on EDP 445 instead. Take that for what you will. Wow. Wow. Alrighty then. So anyway, perhaps I dodged a bullet there, right? But anyway, basically, the way I see it, man, I made the right decision. Because if already I'm so pulled in a million other directions, right, to do all this shit, can you imagine me not trying to do that at the same time? It never would have worked. So I want to give a big shout out and massive credit to my editors who have been helping a lot recently with a lot of different things. You know, and this is one of them to help spruce up the channel, you know, helping with the emotes and stuff like that. That's nice. People appreciate that. And that's something that if I was a younger man with double the free time that I have now that I'm an older married man with a life, I probably would have been able to do all that stuff, but I'm just not in that life situation anymore. You know what I mean? So thank you very much for that. And I hope that you guys are enjoying all of the emotes and all of that. You know, again, the mic adjustment is something new. The emotes are something new. It's constant improvement. That's kind of how I want to keep it now. For a very long time, it was always stagnation. Phil just does the same thing every single day. No improvements, no changes, no feedback taken, just rolls with it forever. And it kind of becomes complacency. I don't want complacency. I want it to feel like we're always doing something fun and interesting and exciting and new, some new improvement, some new thing going on. That's what I want. So I hope that these changes are being noticed, but it's funny because, like I said, I'm not really getting comments about it. I would think, oh, I'm going to get comments about that on my videos, and I'm not, and it's a little weird that I'm not, so please let me know what you think. The people on stream seem to appreciate it, but there's thousands of people who watch my videos on demand, and I'd like to hear from you, okay? Okay, very quickly, let's talk about the games I'm currently playing. Let's briefly review the schedule. Then what I would like to do is a general review of how everything's going right now on my 3 different channels. This might be an opportunity. If you're someone who only comes to DSPGaming and you don't know what happens on the other channels, well, it's React Day. It's the day when I'm going to be on those other channels all day. So this could be a good opportunity for you to be in the know about what's going on and see if maybe you're interested, okay? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is great. Yesterday, we did another 3 hours of open world content where I did optional enemy fights, questing. We did this really epic boss fight against the Quetzalcoatl, which is basically a unique enemy that's a boss, and it played the remixed version of the Final Fantasy VII boss theme, which was really cool. And after that, we did a whole bunch of quests based on it. We basically did all these different various quests in the Calm City region, and by the end of the stream, we did the entire Grasslands. The Grasslands is the entire first portion of the game. We basically 100%ed it. So we're good. We're done now. And now when we play again, we're ready to move on to the next region. Now, what's funny about it is, back in the day, when I used to play video games, I didn't used to play them like this. Okay? I'd buy a new game. I'd pop it in, just before it was digital. I'd pop the disc in. I would play it for like 5, 6, 7 hours that first premiere day. And I would just push the game as far as I could and rush through it. I would not take my time to explore areas. I would not do meaningful side content. I would skip a lot of it. There were some exceptions. Like if I was playing Fallout or something, I would. But for most of these games, I was always kind of in a rush. And the reason being is because back in the day, I was known as the guy who would get that game on release day, pump it in, play it as fast as I can, and beat it within a few days, and be on to the next game. So if you wanted to see a playthrough right away of a hot new game, watch DSPGaming. Now, over the years, when basically that wasn't possible anymore because people were getting games earlier, right? People found ways to get the game 4 days early or a week early and stream it. That advantage didn't matter anymore, okay? And so people told me, hey, you have to change. We don't like the quality of your playthroughs anymore because you rush through games too much and you out on so much content that is meaningful to the game that you don't even get the full picture of what the game is. So we want you to change. So I did. I then became, well, I'm going to focus in on the games that I like more and play less of the games. You know, I'm not going to play 5, 6 games in a 2-week span. I'm going to play maybe 2, 3 games in a 2-week span, but I'm going to focus more in on what I'm doing. And so I started taking my time, exploring open worlds, doing all the content and all of that, right? People liked it. People, oh, this is much better. Now your playthroughs are more interesting. And I had people along for the ride with me. But now, it's funny because here I am playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And as I'm doing the open world content, which is fun and has its own plots and meaningful stuff going on, I'm getting upgrades, material, all this stuff. People are just sitting here complaining. Oh my God, why is he doing this? Does he not know that this content is boring and grindy? And I'm like, wait a minute. If you want a game that doesn't have that content in it, there's a game like that. You want to know what it's called? Final Fantasy VII, the original. It doesn't have this open world questing or any of it. It's literally leave Midgar, right? Go to Calm, get a flashback scene. Go to the swamp. Oops, there's a snake there that's going to kill you. Go to the Chocobo Ranch, grab a Chocobo, walk over the swamp, and you're in the next part of the game. And that takes what, like an hour? In Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the open world's like 6+ hours of awesome, fun content for RPG lovers, right? So the question is, what are you looking for? Like, I think that the game developers did exactly what they should have done. They've adding in all this supplemental content that makes this game feel like what you wish a game was originally. You know, like, don't you wish that in the 90s when you were playing these classic RPGs that you could have all this extra fun content and stuff? It's just crazy to me that now you're getting that content and people are like, wow, well, this is boring. Really? It's boring that you're finally getting this content people have always wanted. You know, I'm riding around on 5 different Chocobos. All my party members are present on the screen, which is amazing because most RPGs never do that. You know, the graphics are great. Are they fuzzy? Yes. I'm not going to lie. The graphics are fuzzy. But they're 60 frames. The game looks stunning in combat and stuff. Albeit a little bit too many effects. It's hard to see what happens in certain fights. But it's still amazing looking, right? And there's enough content of all different kinds to keep you occupied and interested. Around every corner, there's something new to discover, something interesting in this open world. So it's just crazy to me. oh, this content's boring, Phil should skip it. That's what people are saying. Phil should skip all the content of Final Fantasy VII and just do the story. I swear to God, we go full circle. Just like back in the day, I used to do mature rated content, sexualized commentary, racial commentary, right? Racial jokes, things like that. And everyone complained, wow, you're such an immature asshole, right? You're such an idiot. This is why you don't deserve success, because you're just a jerk. So over the years, I mature, I change. I become a different person. Now, I don't want to do that commentary anymore. And now people say, wow, your commentary sucks. It's boring now. You don't do all that fun, risque commentary you used to do. It's like, you have to understand something, okay? And I mean this now. I hope people will listen. You can only demand change for so long, but then when you get it, you can't go back on it because things have already changed. It's too late, right? Like, here's the thing. 10, 15 years ago, I was a completely different dude. I was single. I was an alcoholic, all right? I didn't take YouTube seriously. I was fucking around every video that I made. So I rushed through a game just to get views or make money. I fuck around with my commentary because I don't care about the repercussions of what I say. I think the whole thing's a joke anyway, right? Today, I'm in my 40s. I'm happily married. I have a wife and a life. This is my full-time job. It's my occupation. I take it way more seriously. I don't want to get canceled on the internet for some bullshit because I need this as my job, you know? I can't. This isn't really fucking around anymore. This is way more serious business. People tell me all the time that they find what I do very meaningful. My commentary and the things that we talk about every day is very useful to them, and whether it's, you know, makes you feel good, puts a smile on your face, you get informed by the stuff we talk about here on the podcast, or whatever it is. I can't fuck around like I used to anymore. I'm not that dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm literally not that guy anymore. But now people are saying, well, why can't you just go back to how you were 15 years ago? Because you asked me to change. Like, the entire movement of This Is How You Don't Play was, wow, Phil is this very unprofessional, irreverent jerk. And he doesn't deserve success because of that. So I listened directly to 10 years of criticism to change myself for the better. And now the feedback I get is, go back to how you were? No. No. There's a whole new generation of people now who are like that. And they're out there making millions of dollars, which I never made back in the day. It wasn't even possible. There were no sponsorships and partnerships and paid product placements. All the things that they get didn't exist when I was doing that kind of content 15 years ago. So I was doing it for the love of it, pretty much, you know, and I stumbled into doing it for a living. All right? So that's what drives me nuts. Because here I am playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm loving the game. I'm taking my time with it. I'm doing all the meaningful content that I'm discovering in it. And a lot of the feedback I'm getting is, wow, this playthrough is boring because you're taking your time and doing side content. Rush through all that content and get to the story. What? So go back 15 years. Go back to the old Phil again. Like, what on earth? And you know what it is? It's like I've always said. Okay, and I'll say it again because this is a very true statement from my experience in life. In life, things swing like a pendulum, okay? Imagine that there's this big pendulum swinging back and forth, back and forth. At one point, the pendulum swings all the way this way, and this is what everything is and what everyone wants. And then over time, all of a sudden, the pendulum swings back because of gravity and goes this way, and now it's on this side, and everyone wants this. You know, when I started on YouTube, people wanted this. Then, somewhere in the middle, it swung this way, and people wanted this. Well, now that pendulum is swinging back. Well, it's too late. Unlike waves of life and generational entertainment and stuff, I'm already an older dude. I'm changed, and my business is different now. I can't go back to that. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But it's frustrating to me because I really like Final Fantasy. By the way, to give you some perspective here, yeah, the playthrough's not doing well at all. In regards to like everything I'm doing, the Final Fantasy VII videos so far, we're 3 days in, haven't even done as well as the Silent Hill, the short message playthrough from a few weeks ago. And that was a 3-hour throwaway experience that really was not very good. And that has gotten more views and attention on it than my Final Fantasy VII Rebirth playthrough so far. So I'm sorry, because a lot of people like to make excuses, right? And they say, well, it's you. It's you and your commentary. Is it really? What am I doing wrong in my commentary? What am I doing wrong in the game? Do you want me to rush through and skip all the content? Then the playthrough sucks. But if I do all the side content, then the playthrough's boring. It sucks, right? I'm talking with my audience. We're having conversation. So what did I do wrong there? Right? No. Here's the truth. Because as much as people want to always pin it on me, the truth is it's not the case. There's tons of stuff that I'm doing that people like, that people are actually turning out and watching and enjoying. The problem is, it's not RPG playthroughs. The RPG playthroughs are played out because there's too many fucking RPGs at once. They all came out within this 3+ month span. Keep in mind, it started in December with Baldur's Gate 3. And I figured December and January were the perfect time to play Baldur's Gate 3 because there was nothing going on. But then what happened? RPG, 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 RPG. There's too many fucking RPGs at once. Right? And what's the problem with RPGs is that even though you can argue that RPGs are very different in the way that they execute, they're all very similar. Okay? What do RPGs have? Usually loads of characters with different backstories, loads of elaboration on that backstory, loads of combat, whether it's action-based or turn-based, there's still loads of it, and it's very repetitive and takes up time. Loads of world exploration with little minutia when it comes to things going on in the world. Loads of side questing, loads of collecting, loads of leveling, loads of menus, loads of dialogue, loads. Too many fucking loads. All right? It all just feels samey when you're, even if you're playing these different universes and different styles of RPG, it's just the same shit over and over. You understand? Like, it really does. And that's the thing. I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, feels different from Like a Dragon, feels different from Final Fantasy VII, but at the end of the day, they're all RPGs. They're all kind of samey when it comes down to what you're doing in each of them. So I get the fact that there's going to be massive burnout. And again, I wish that there was more stuff going on. But what's going on? A failure of a game in Suicide Squad. A co-op only game in Helldivers 2. We tried Pal World. It worked for a few streams, but then it got boring. So I can only play what's available. So what's funny about what I'm saying right now, okay, is that when you compare, for example, what we're doing on DSPGaming to what we're actually doing on my other channel, the Throwback channel, which we're going to talk in a little bit. Because on that channel, all I'm doing is watching and reacting to my old content, and that channel's doing well. Now, views-wise, is it sky high? No. But actually, we're getting people engaged and supportive and excited for the content on the Throwback channel more than the new gameplay right now. Seriously. Like, it's actually hard for me to retain any viewership on all these 100 RPGs. You know? And you know what? My Ruin just made a great point. He says the same is going to happen with Dragon's Dogma 2. People are going to be mad at you if you skip it because there's too many RPGs, but then people will be upset with you if you skip it because you skipped the new game. Correct. I'm basically in this impossible situation where because too many of the same style of game have come out now in a 3-month span, if I play the new ones, no one cares, they're boring, it's the same kind of game. If I skip it, how dare you skip it? Don't you understand it's a new game and everyone wants it? Like, what? You just can't win. Like, people were very pumped and excited for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They can't wait to see you play it. The feedback I'm getting now is most people are not attending the live streams because they're playing it themselves. And they're going to watch the videos on demand after the fact, which I appreciate. But, I'm a live streamer. I don't play stuff off camera. So, I'm going to have to stream the game. What do I do if half the people aren't attending the streams, right? I don't know. Like, it really is a tough time right now when it comes to the gameplay. It is. Like, I'm confused of what I'm supposed to be doing different when no one seems to have a solution, right? And the funny part is people keep saying, oh, no, it's not that it's too many RPGs. Then explain it. Really explain it, right? I'd love to hear your explanation for this because there is none. It's just there's too many fucking RPGs. It's not that people aren't interested. It's that they're not interested in the same thing 20 times in a row. Well, Zen Shuriken says it's not the devs, it's the publishers. That's true, too. Because just like I've said, what happens is they all live in this bubble or this tunnel. All they see is their own game. They don't look at the atmosphere around them or the climate, and then they release their games all at the same time, and they all cannibalize each other. I'm sorry to say, but if Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Persona 3 Reload, this Grand Blue Fantasy game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Dragon's Dogma 2, and that's just 5 games that I pulled off the top of my head because there's more than that. If they spread the releases out over the course of 2024, and maybe there was one every 2 months, instead of all of them within 2 months, those games would have sold better. And I'm sorry, I'm sticking to that statement. All right, I am. They would have sold better. And it's funny because, Like a Dragon sold better than any game in the franchise so far. You're right, and it was the first game in that big wave. It actually came out before anything else. Remember that? Persona 3 sold well. Yeah, it's Game Pass. They literally count every Game Pass download as a sale. Those numbers are drastically off. Who actually bought the game versus just got it on Game Pass? You can't trust those numbers. They all lie and say that it sold when it didn't. Okay? I'm going to be curious at the end of the day when all things are said and done, right? What actually has happened with these sales? I'd love to hear this. Okay? That's what I really want to know. What did they really make on these games? Because they all are going to cannibalize each other. There's no way that a common gamer can play 500 to 600-hour RPGs in 2 months. It's not going to happen. So what will happen is you're going to buy one or two, and then you're just going to wait, and you're going to buy them months later when they're already discounted because they're trying to sell more copies because that window of release is over, right? I find it crazy because usually early in the year when you have a big flood of games, it's a variety. You know, in previous years, around this time, we had Resident Evil 4 Remake last year. You had Elden Ring the year before. You get that variety. It's not just RPG, 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 RPG. And now it just is. Like, what is going on here, right? So anyway, I love Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We're now around 11 and a half hours into it. We've beaten the first open world segment. I love it. And I see tons of people complaining, why did he do that? Well, I didn't want to rush the game. You know, I bought the game to play it, not to skip the whole game. And people are like, well, you have to understand that content's boring. Well, then you just think RPGs are boring. Sorry. RPGs are not meant to be bought and rushed through at maximum breakneck pace. You're supposed to take your time and immerse yourself. Why do you think it's called role-playing? Because you're supposed to be playing the role of one of the characters in the game, and the character doesn't just ignore the universe around them and run at a breakneck speed to the end. They actually immerse themselves in the universe and take advantage of everything around them. That's the point of an RPG. So if you don't like RPGs, I get it, but then don't say that I'm playing the game wrong. That's asinine and stupid. Okay? Okay, so I love it. I wish more people would attend the streams. The streams already, you know, we're only 3 days into it. Already, attendance has dwindled, support has dwindled, and there's not much I can do about that. All I can do is continue to play it and enjoy it and represent it fairly. I think the game is great. I really do. Like I've been telling you guys, the more I play it, the more I like. And if it stays at this formula of 4 or 5 hours of story that's kind of linear, and then goes to a nice open world area where you can explore and do all this cool, fun, optional content, and if it alternates back and forth like that, I think this could be one of the best RPGs in recent memory. Seriously, I think it's going to be outstanding. I'm super excited for that. So I hope that you guys are too, but it just seems like the vast majority of people who like the game are saying they're not watching the streams. So I don't know what to do about that. Okay? Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, last night, we finally crossed over into Chapter 8, which is a point of swapping of the game. Instead of it all being about Kasuga's team in Hawaii, we've actually returned to Japan, and the game has split. Now we're following Kazuma Kiryu in Japan, Yokohama, and he's forming his own party and doing his own plot line. So this is kind of neat, because I think what's going to happen is the game's going to bounce back and forth between the two groups, and we're going to get two different plots, which is excellent, and that'll keep the actual game moving a bit, rather than stagnating and being the same group over and over. So I'm happy for that, and I'm looking forward to more of that. Of course, you know, the Like a Dragon playthrough wasn't doing well to begin with, because we just played Like a Dragon Gaiden, right? And let's be honest, it's more of a niche playthrough anyway for those who kind of like the Japanese culture and stuff like that. Personally, the Yakuza / Like a Dragon franchise has been great for me. I love those games, so I'm going to continue to play this one. But yeah, I mean, that was always intended to be the late night chill stream style game. I didn't think it was going to put any butts in seats or anything like that. I'm just excited to be playing it still because it's fun. We're about 40 hours in now, I believe. I want to say we're like 38, 39 hours in or something like that. And likely we're about halfway through the game. The game has 12 chapters, and we're just in chapter 8. But these chapters get longer near the end. I guarantee you we're probably about halfway through. It'll probably end up being like a 70, 80 hour playthrough, I would think. Depending. We'll have to see. So that's what happened with the gameplay yesterday. Today we're doing all reacting. After this podcast ends, We're heading over to DSP React for my usual DSP versus the Internet clip show, which should be fun. I actually was looking at the clips last night, and a good variety of clips this week from everyone, so it should be a good show this week, all over the place with topics, but that's good. It usually keeps things interesting. Tonight on the late stream, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, on DSP Throwback, it is me doing a retro react stream of Heavy Rain for the third week in a row. You guys have really enjoyed that, and I want to talk a little bit about that now. Basically, right now, out of all the stuff that I'm doing, the stuff that seems to be the most positive is the throwback stuff. Meaning, these throwback streams I'm doing once a week, when people show up to those streams, they're excited. They're very, very positive. They're really enjoying the content. We hang out, we have a good time, chill vibes, enjoying these older games, right? Laughing at my old style of commentary and the old style of gameplay and everything. These streams are very engaging and supportive, And overall, the videos do decent. I mean, they don't do amazing. I'm not getting thousands of views on me reacting to my old content, but at the same time, it's pretty consistent. Like, the people watching it really are enjoying it and liking the content. And what's happening is, because I'm doing these streams consistently, that channel is building itself up consistent viewership now, which is good. That's what any channel needs, right? Not sporadic, but consistent viewership. So what's happening is the throwback channel is finally getting to the point where it's earning me a few bucks. Not a ton, but it's earning me a few bucks. It's mostly because of the streams and those videos of Heavy Rain that are doing decent for the channel. Now, what other content is on that channel? There's the classic Final Fantasy XIII playthrough, as well as the Red Dead Redemption 1 playthrough from 2010. Those are the playthroughs where they're being upscaled, flicker reduced, audio improved, fused together to be 30-minute parts, modern thumbnail, and modern titling. Okay, a lot of work is going into those. When I started putting those up in January, they were doing good. Like, every video was getting between 500 to 1,000 views, and people were very excited. Well, it's now March, and the playthroughs continue. Final Fantasy XIII is a long playthrough. It's between 30 to 40 hours long. Red Dead Redemption is around a 20-hour playthrough. Okay? So, yeah, these playthroughs being as long as they are, sadly, the viewership has dramatically dwindled. I mean, I'm lucky to get 100 views on one of those videos on the day it releases. Now, over time, they are accumulating more views, but you can tell that the playthroughs have stagnated because they're so long. I've been doing 30-minute parts of a 30-hour playthrough. You're talking 60-plus parts to finish the game. And for example, with Final Fantasy XIII, I want to say today or yesterday, we released like part 33, 34. And with Red Dead, I think we just released like part 18 or something like that. So we're getting there, right? We're getting there, but it's just taking a long time. So those playthroughs, I'm happy that we're putting them up for posterity purposes, because that was the whole point of doing this work, is to get those playthroughs up so people can watch them in the future. Make it so that they don't get claimed or blocked, so that people can actually watch them and enjoy them and not have to worry about in a year, half the playthroughs missing, because that's what used to happen with those old playthroughs, right? So that's why all this is happening. But at the very same time, yeah, it's a little disheartening. The whole idea of the project was hopefully people would be excited. And for years, people asked me to put those playthroughs up. And it's a lot of work to get those out there. And now all of a sudden, the interest seems to be completely dead for these playthroughs. Like, almost no one's watching them. We get about, like I said, maybe 100 views on the day they come out, if that. So, I think this is a case of what they call the very vocal minority. It was a small group of people who really were dying to see those playthroughs come back on YouTube after being erased years ago. And now that they're coming up, they're like, nah, it wasn't a big deal. But what I'm happy is that not only is that content going live for posterity purposes, but now with the Retro React streams once a week, the channel's actually amounting to something interesting, right? I'll be honest, the Retro React stuff is actually some of the most fun stuff that I've been doing recently. I really enjoy our Sunday nights together where we just chill and react to the old playthroughs. It's really fun. And I don't just mean Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain's great, but also the Red Dead and the Dark Souls stream was great too. Like, I hope that we can actually keep this stuff as a staple. I've now been around for 15 years, and there is so many old classic playthroughs that we can sit back and relax, and I can react to and we can have a good time with, that I'm looking forward to doing more of those in the future moving forward. I hope you guys like it as well. Now, if you haven't checked out the content over there yet, I strongly recommend you do. It may not be your cup of tea, especially if you don't care about games from 15 years ago. But man, it's fun, right? It really is. Give it a look. It's at youtube.com/@DSP Throwback. We'll be over there tonight on the late stream, hanging out and enjoying Heavy Rain further. At this point, I think we're 19 parts into Heavy Rain, and the Heavy Rain playthrough, I can't remember how long it actually was. I want to say it was like 50-something parts, and we're currently at part 19. I think it was 3 nights that I played it to beat it. And I think after like 20-some parts, there's actually the video where I give you my day one final thoughts, and I'm curious to watch and react to that, because I don't remember them. Like, I don't remember what my thoughts were each night after I played the game. It'll be cool to react to that, too. So, that'll be fun. That'll be fun tonight. I hope you'll check that out. So, anyway, that's today's streams. Tomorrow, it'll be Baldur's Gate 3 on the daytime stream. Allow me to reiterate that. Baldur's Gate 3 on the daytime stream tomorrow. We're changing the schedule per your requests. People were upset that we weren't going to do Baldur's Gate, earlier in the week, so we're doing it tomorrow. There will be no late night stream tomorrow night. I'm taking the entire night to do personal stuff behind the scenes. I really need the time to do it, and likely that's going to happen a few times this month. There's probably going to be a few times this month where there's late night streams I can't stream because I need to do stuff behind the scenes, which is fine. I'll let you know ahead of time when those are going to be, and the first one is Monday night, okay? Tuesday, we're back to a full day of gameplay streaming. It'll be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Tekken 8 online play with Yoshimitsu. Still trying to push Yoshimitsu out of the red ranks and into purple. We'll see how that goes. And then Wednesday, it'll be more Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon, and that's the streaming week, okay? Next week, you're going to see alternation and balance between Baldur's Gate and Final Fantasy VII on the day streams, and you'll see Tekken 8, Like a Dragon on the night streams, and of course React content as well on the React day, okay? Alright, so in general, alright, yeah, things are actually way slowed down on DSPGaming. In the last month, I basically played 3 games, right? I played Baldur's Gate, Like a Dragon, and Tekken 8. And that was really it. And even then, I don't feel like I played enough of, say, Tekken 8 to even get as good as I probably should have gotten. The problem is that Tekken 8 didn't really get as much engagement or attention as Street Fighter 6 did. You know, I wanted to play more, and people didn't really seem to like it as much. So, really, with Tekken, I'm like floundering. And what I mean by that is, I am getting better, but it's very slow progress. Like, most people who've played the game and worked hard are in purple or getting to blue now, and I'm still stuck in red rankings because I haven't really played enough of a character to get good enough to get above that. I'm working on it, but that's just where we are with it right now, only playing it twice a week. So, during February, even though I tried things like Pal World and that, you know, Silent Hill short story game and stuff like that, it didn't, you know, nothing really caught on to be exciting for the mainstream viewers here. So a lot of viewers just kind of stayed away. They're like, he's doing a bunch of RPGs and stuff. I'll come back when new games come out and stuff like that, right? So yeah, definitely viewership has dwindled and attendance has dwindled, and there's nothing I can really do about that. I'm playing what's out that fits my content style. You know, if I was one of these meme streamers and I had a ton of co-op people who I just played games with for 2 streams and I dropped the fucking game like a lot of people do, then I would have been playing Helldivers. But that's not who I am. You know, when I play a game, I like to play it if I like it to completion. I don't do online co-op games. I don't see the point in playing a game designed for online co-op solo. It's not going to work. It's not going to be as good as the experience is intended, right? So that's why I'm not playing Helldivers. I know it's like a hot game, but it doesn't make sense. Suicide Squad, absolutely I would have played if it didn't suck ass. Did you know, get this, Suicide Squad has around 500 players on Steam. That's it. Suicide Squad is already selling for $50 everywhere, and the game's only been out for 1 month. It's already been discounted $20, and word is that it is such a huge sales failure for Warner Brothers. They're actually retooling and rethinking what games to work on in the future. Maybe even a huge shift away from DC content. Which is pretty crazy. Anyway, you know, outside of that, you know, what am I doing here is I'm just basically pushing through the games that we have, and I'm playing Final Fantasy, which I thought would have caught on more. It hasn't. You know, the streams are not doing well. They're slow. People sit here complaining that I'm playing an RPG like an RPG instead of rushing through it. It's like, so really, You know, I think one of two things is going to happen. Either things are going to stay at this pace for 2 weeks and there's nothing I can do about it, or some people will actually start to attend the Final Fantasy streams once they get further into the game themselves and they want to avoid spoilers. See, right now, I did play a ton of Final Fantasy VII in the first 3 days. A ton, right? 11 and a half hours is a lot of gameplay for just a few days. So a lot of people probably are behind me, but I'm not playing it today, and I'm also not playing it tomorrow. And then moving forward, I'm alternating with Baldur's Gate. So instead of me playing it every day, 3+ hours, and getting way ahead, it'll definitely be easier for people to get caught up and maybe attend those streams. You know what I mean? Like, I think it'll make sense over time for people to come back and check out the streams, but it's going to take maybe a bit. Maybe we'll have more people on Tuesday. I don't know, right? I don't know. I don't know what to say, you know. The next new game that I'm going to be playing is probably the Star Wars Battlefront collection. I think that's around the 15th-ish, if I remember. And that should be fun for multiplayer purposes because it's very different from anything we're doing right now. And those games play really well and are just fun to watch, too. To see you run around as a stormtrooper blowing shit up and then becoming a superhero and coming and zipping around and killing everyone. It's fun. It's a really great game. It's very addictive, too. In this version, apparently, they upgraded have huge battles with so many people. So I think it's going to be neat. I do think that will be something fun. And then when we finally get to Rise of the Ronin, at least that's something different. It's a completely different formula. It's nothing like any game that I'm playing right now. It'll feel very different, and that'll be a good thing. But, I mean, Dragon's Dogma 2, I really think I should skip at this point. I'm not saying skip and never play it. I'm saying probably don't play it yet. Try to get further into the games I'm playing. Maybe, finish Baldur's Gate within the next month. And if that's done, then we can focus on a new RPG. But I feel like right now there's just too many RPGs. Why add another one when the ones I'm doing aren't going so well, right? Yes, I am aware Alone in the Dark is also coming out this month. And the thing is, no one knows if it's going to be good or not. Because the game got delayed multiple times. And no one can really put their finger on what it's going to be yet. I think near the end of the month we'll probably get a lot more information about it. And then we'll make a decision. If it looks good, I want to play it. It's going to be something, again, very different from the stuff I'm doing. And that's kind of what we need right now, is variety instead of more of the same. That's correct. Rise of the Ronin is PS5 only. Not on Xbox game. That's right. So anyway, here's the state of how everything's going in summary. DSP Gaming is slow right now. And there's nothing I can really do about it when the only hot new releases have been RPGs and people are already RPG'd out. All right? And when people say things like, well, I don't get it because those games are doing better on other channels. Yes, giant channels. You're right. Big popular channels with engaged viewer bases of people who virally come there because those people are popular. Doesn't matter what they do. They get viewership no matter what. All right? For me, the first RPG did good, Baldur's Gate. Then that got tired when we hit the 100-hour mark. Then I started another RPG. Then I started another RPG. What did you think would happen? But those are the games that are out. That's just what I'm facing. If I was a different kind of content creator who played every viral game, jumped on every bandwagon, co-opted out the ass, but didn't really care about the quality of what I was putting out, I just cared about the viral popularity of what I was playing, I probably would be in a very good position right now and no one would give a shit, right? But that's just the situation that we are in right now. And you deal with it. You move forward positively. Listen, this year is not a slouch for games. We've got a lot of interesting, fun games coming up that are going to be very different, and people will be more interested in seeing me play rather than RPG, 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 RPG. Okay? So anyway, that's just where we are with DSP Gaming. I would hope more people will come to watch Final Fantasy VII in the long term, but there's no guarantee. I can't make them show up. What I would hope is that because things are slowing down right now, people will say, okay, now I'm ahead of Phil so I can watch his streams. Because I miss the days of having a bunch of people on a stream for a hot new game. I do. And that happens for example, last year, Lies of P. Wow, those streams are outstanding. Every time I played it, people showed up, were engaged, excited, and the game was really cool. I like it when you have that feeling for a new release. But it's hard to retain that feeling now when every game's a 100-hour RPG. It just doesn't happen, right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But right now, yeah, DSP Gaming, I won't want to say necessarily has stagnated. It's just that there's just not a lot going on in the realm of variety that's going to engage the audience. It's more, if you like these RPGs, come hang out. And if not, well, bide your time and wait for the new games to come, right? DSP Reacts is basically just my react show once a week at this point. I know that I was doing movie reviews, TV show reviews, and things like that. They just didn't do very well. You know, when I was doing those videos, I was watching hours of content, then recording a review just to put out a video that would get like 300 views. And it was like, wow, I invested all that time into a video that really didn't add anything to the channel. So that's why I stopped kind of doing it. I think when something hype comes out, like for example, if there's a big movie everyone's talking about, or when the Fallout show comes out, what is it, April? That's the kind of stuff that I would want to watch and basically review for you guys. But right now, I don't think that just willy-nilly reviewing movies here or there is going to work. Like, I don't think that's going to be that exciting. Like, people were like, well, did you watch Dune 2? No, I didn't see Dune 1. Why don't you watch Dune 1 and review it? Because the movie's like years old, right? No one's going to be ultra excited for me to review Dune from years ago, right? Now, if a hot new movie comes out and hits Max or whatever, then that's different, right? But right now, there's just nothing going on, you know? But things will happen later this year. Like I said, oh, you know what else? The Boys. When The Boys comes out later this year, isn't that like June or something? I'll watch and review that for you. Sure, I will. I'll be interested in that because that's just such a culturally popular thing, you know, the dystopian superhero idea. So I will do that. I'll do the new season of The Boys, and I'll do and I will, because it was like you need to watch all of The Boys. I will. I'll watch it and get caught up on it. I already started. Remember I told you I did start watching it. I watched a lot of season 1, and then basically I like sporadically will watch it every once in a while. So I'll probably watch more. So I'll probably review that, right? And then I'll probably review, like I said, the Fallout show. That'll be coming. But mostly, the React channel is the weekly clip show, DSP versus the Internet. And then if I do like a food vlog every once in a while, right? Like the tier makers are fun, but they don't always do that well. And I kind of have to do an entire stream to do one. So it's kind of like, you know, take an entire night out to do a tier maker. And then the tier maker gets 400 views. It's like, oh, well, that kind of sucked. You know, I could have been playing gameplay. That would have been way more popular than that. So if I can find a tier maker that's going to do well, I'll probably do another one. So, okay, so that's what's going on with the React channel. Right now, I think the Throwback channel, out of all my content that I'm putting out, is actually doing the best because of the weekly Retro React streams. You know, the fact that both longtime fans as well as some newcomers who have watched my content over the last few years but didn't know about my past are coming by and chilling on Sunday nights in the with the React streams, right? We're having a good time together. We're enjoying, you know, reminiscing about the past and, you know, reacting and relaxing. It's a nice vibe. It really is. Like these Sundays now, these React Sundays for me are more of my laid back day. I know I don't have to do any gameplay today. So I'm not pressured to perform and do well or make progress or make an advancement in rankings to get a bunch of wins in Tekken or something like that. Instead, it's just more relaxed atmosphere. And I like that. Today, I'm just going to watch a bunch of clips you guys submitted. I'm going to react to them. We're going to have some fun discussion. Tonight, we're going to watch old games I used to play. We're going to react, have some fun discussion, and just have a good chill day together. That's cool to break it up. I like that also we're doing it on Sundays. It's right dab in the middle of my streaming week. So it's the perfect thing to break up that week so it doesn't become too much of the same all week long, right? So right now, the Retro Reacts are probably some of my most fun stuff I'm doing, and honestly, it's probably doing the best out of a lot of my content right now. Like, people are consistently showing up, engaging, and supporting those streams, and that's good. And the views on those videos are decent. You know, they are. For rewatching an old playthrough, it's actually doing the best. And what's actually interesting, so I've done 3 of them. I did Red Dead 1, which we reacted to like the first 2 hours of. I did Dark Souls 1, which we reacted to about the first 2 hours of. And then I've done Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain has outperformed the other 2 by a lot. Like, Heavy Rain has only been two weeks now that the content's been out. And the views on the Heavy Rain series have already outdone Dark Souls 1 and Red Dead. Red Dead's been out for over a month, and Dark Souls 1's been out for just about a month. And it's already, like, way better views on it. I'm like, wow. So that's cool, you know? What I'm hoping, here's what I'm hoping for the Throwback channel, all right? Oh, my nose itches. Yeah, what I'm hoping for the Throwback channel is this. We could continue to do the Retro React stuff, hopefully once a week. And we could do variety. Like, Heavy Rain's not going to last forever. That's only going to last another few weeks. And then we can start doing polling for awesome retro playthroughs from back in the day that you guys would love to see me react to. The one exception being Fallout, because the music, I can't watch it. It's going to get blocked. But outside of that, anything basically but Fallout would be like pretty cool. And I'm excited for that. So I hope that we can get excitement for that. Like people will be, oh man, I'd really like to see this classic playthrough. I'd really like to see this classic playthrough, right? And people voting for those and competing to see what they want. And we could try different games. It doesn't have to be the same game every week. It could be different games and decide which ones we want to go back to and which ones we don't want to, or maybe go back at a future date. That's going to be fun. But also, once we get to the end of Red Dead Redemption 1 and Final Fantasy 13, that's also going to kind of reinvigorate stuff, because now people can choose what's the next project you want to see. Do you want to see a series about the Suicide Kings online multiplayer that I did with Rambo and friends that became the Suicide Kings videos? Do you want to see Lost Vlogs from like New York Comic Con and other things? I have a bunch that I could search through and find and probably put that stuff together. Do you want to see the LA Noire playthrough, which is also lost completely to time? The original run is not present on YouTube anywhere right now. Or rather than the lost playthroughs, would you prefer to see older playthroughs remastered? So imagine, and this is just a what if, this is not a definite yes. Let's say the original Fallout 3 playthrough, all right, but ran through a filter so the music isn't in it anymore, therefore it won't get blocked and muted on YouTube. Put into an upscale HD filter with the better frame rate, longer parts, properly titled. So now it's a digestible playthrough that doesn't have gaps in it like the current one. The current one, half the parts are muted or blocked because of the music, which is shitty. You can't even watch it and enjoy it because YouTube screwed it up so bad over the years. But imagine now having that as a watchable playthrough again. I think that would be neat. Hopefully people would be engaged. I would love to go back and watch my old playthrough of that, you know? How does the filter work? It mutes the radio. Yeah, what happens is it searches for certain kinds of audio. So if you're playing the game and there's playing, you know, I don't want to set the world on fire. If it detects that kind of background noise, it'll just mute that noise only. But when my voice plays, it recognizes my voice and doesn't mute that. So we did a quick test run, and it worked almost perfectly. Not perfectly. Like there's still going to be some music present, but it won't be like an overabundance of it where hopefully the video won't get muted, you know? So, you know, so there you go. That'd be pretty interesting, right? And I don't know, like I think the Throwback channel right now is on a pace of growth and interest. Not huge growth, because it's never going to have huge growth. These are people who are like my old content, you know? How many, 1,000 people on the internet are maybe still into that, right? But the people that are there are very excited. There's positivity, there's fun, there's engagement and support. And I feel like that channel has good potential this year, depending on what we do with it. The other thing is, you could do timely things. So I'll give you an example here. What about around Halloween? That's when we upload the Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare playthrough. That's, again, lost to time. It's not on the internet anywhere. Imagine, you know, doing that as the project for October, right? That would be pretty neat. Around Christmas, looking for old things that I did around the holidays. Christmas specials, you know, marathons, and you know, putting those together. And reacting back to those and stuff like that, right? So that could be neat. I like the potential the channel has right now. I'm really liking the idea of this. So, yeah, thank you for watching everything. That's kind of the state of everything. I am hoping that things are going to rejuvenate here on DSP Gaming once newer games of a bigger variety come out, you know? And the Throwback stuff I'm really enjoying. So far, so good. But, yeah, things could definitely get better, you know. The things I'm not talking about right now are financials, because you already know the deal. That with those reduced gifted memberships, meaning gifted memberships I literally will never get paid for, I have seen a big dip in income, and I don't see how to get it back. I need a surge of interest. And I can't get a surge of interest when there's no games other than RPGs coming out, right? So once that happens, I think we'll be better off, you know. Plus, we are starting to hit the time of year when there's going to be an increase in ad revenue on YouTube. Like, it's already begun. I've started to see it creep up a little bit. It's usually January, February the worst. And then around March, April-ish, all of a sudden you start seeing it kind of normalize again. So that's going to help a bit too. But it ain't going to help that much if no one's watching the videos, right? If no one's watching the gameplay because it's all RPGs, then it's not going to help, right? So, anyway, there you go. That's what's going on right now. Now, feedback appreciated. You know, I'm looking at the chat, and I got someone like Zero. He posted 4 paragraphs, none of which I could read. But one of the things he's saying is, maybe go back and play an older game. I mean, I'm always down to do that. I'm literally always down to go back and say, hey, you want to do like a nostalgic run of an older game or something like that? But we'd have to think of one that people want to see and will actually show up, right? The thing is, we used to do that. Every year, I was doing a Bethesda playthrough. First, it was Fallout New Vegas. Then it was Skyrim. Then it was Oblivion. And we were going to do that again this year, except people wanted Baldur's Gate 3. So Baldur's Gate 3 is basically what's next. You know, that's what we're playing. That's why we're not doing... How on earth would I have played a Bethesda playthrough when we're playing Baldur's Gate 3? Right? Once we finish Baldur's Gate 3 and we get through the RPG Mania, then maybe we could start to look to do something like that. But personally, no, I don't think going back and playing an older game like we were doing, like let's say people say, oh, play Fallout 3 now. That wouldn't work. Too many RPGs already. You know what I'm saying? So there's not much you can really do about that. We need to have variety. We really do need variety right now. And I think we're going to get it. It's just going to take a little bit more time. Okay? All right, let's do some shout-outs. We start with Roman Victor, who re-upped his membership for 3 months. Says, Phil is love, Phil is life. I love the podcast. Thank you, Roman Victor. Rush Fan, also with a membership. Hope that you're having a good day. Thank you, Rush Fan. I am. Bloom Kid, with the first super chat of the day. Thank you for that. He says, you know, a lot in some regards, all games today are now RPGs pretty much. Even adventure games are RPG games without leveling. I mean, yeah, but the thing is, you know what I'm saying? It's. I understand that if you broaden the term, yeah, pretty much every video game, you're playing the role of someone who you really are, and yada yada. And there's some, you know, some level of advancement, some level of, you know, leveling of some kind. That's not what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Take a look at Baldur's Gate 3, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Just take those 3 on paper. So visually, they're a little different. Gameplay-wise, when it comes to combat, they're all different, right? But in the end of the day, it follows the same narrative kind of structure. You're going to have a big chunk of story where it's linear, and you're stuck doing a whole bunch of kind of linearity in a story mission or whatever. Tons of cutscenes, tons of talking, blah, 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 blah. Then eventually you get to a combat segment or a segment where you have a little bit of more open control of the game. You can explore more fully. You can, you know, find content and look around for it or whatever, right? And then you go back to the linear part again. And even though you might say, yeah, the combat's different. Yeah, but at the same time, you notice the combat mostly isn't action-based. I guess, or maybe you could say Final Fantasy VII Rebirth kind of is. It is more action-y, that's for sure. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell the difference between... Like, no one's going to say that Call of Duty is an RPG. No one's going to say that Mario is an RPG. Except for Super Mario RPG. Right? You know, it's like, you can tell the difference between this is an RPG... And this is kind of a very similar style of game, correct? And, you know, there you go. On Phonem Grave, re-upped their membership for 2 months, says Bang Bang RPG Gang. And Drew Corporation re-upped his membership for 5 months. He says, yeah, I for one am definitely RPG'd out. I cannot wait for new stuff. I hear you. I really, really, really wish that there weren't so many. And again, I really feel like if they had stretched them out this year, this would have been like a slam bang amazing year for games. But you can't release all the same genre of game back to back. It doesn't work. You'll get tired out. Like for example, imagine if I played Super Mario Wonder, then a new Sonic the Hedgehog game, then a new Crash Bandicoot game, and then Spyro, right? Now listen, they're all amazing games in their own rights. But the moment that you get to the second one, you're like, okay, and then you get to the third one, you're like, what the hell? Now they're all different. But they're all platformers, and they're all kind of the samey formula, and you're going to get tired of it, right? It doesn't matter. And the thing is, if you put it in perspective like that, then you understand it. Because a lot of people say, oh, these RPGs are so different, they don't cannibalize themselves. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Sales-wise and attention-wise, they absolutely do. Okay. All right, let's head over to the YouTube side of things, okay? Now, let's see, because sadly, a lot of these are probably troll tips, which I'm just going to ignore. Okay? So I just got a $1 tip. Someone says, I think most people come to watch a stream It doesn't matter what game you're playing. Okay, hold on. Okay, I just want to add the dollar before I forget, because this guy has a big comment here. When your commentary ends up being risk-free and generic, it comes across as boring. I think people need to realize Old Phil was popular because he made risky commentary and it made videos entertaining. Now the risk-free commentary appeals more to older audience and not the vast majority. It's like I said, there's still people who do that kind of crazy commentary, and they're all the, you know, these younger streamers in their 20s, the ones with viral popularity, the ones who, you know, don't even play a full game. You know what I mean? Like, they're out there. They're hot. That's the stuff for the new audience. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to see a younger audience come to watch DSP Gaming ever. It's not going to happen. Overnight, I'm not going to bring in a bunch of teenagers, right? Just my mindset, the way that I think about life, the way that I think about games, it's not the same as a young audience. So there's not much you can do about it. I've grown up, I've matured. People wanted me to grow up and mature. When I acted younger, right, people hated it. Oh, he's so immature. He doesn't deserve the popularity he has. You know, look at his gameplay. It's terrible. Look at his commentary. It's awful. He needs to really become a better gamer and to get better, more mature commentary. So over a course of 10, 15 years, I do that, and I'll be like, oh, well, now your stuff's boring. Well, then you asked for the change, you get it, and now you hate it. It's your own fault. And now I can't change back. I'm older now in a different life position. I'm not going to be that person again. I'm never going to go back in time and become single Phil, alcoholic Phil, irreverent Phil. I don't give a shit about anything. No professionalism. Fuck the world. I'm not that guy anymore, right? I'm never going to be that guy again. So we have to figure out a way to make things work that isn't reverse time 15 years, get in the DeLorean, right? You can't get into the DeLorean. It doesn't exist. Anyway. Let's see here. Anime Slayer. Now this is actually really hilarious. This one I gotta call out, because this one is actual bullshit. Okay, this is from Anime Slayer, and he does a $1 tip. And I'm not gonna take this out on Anime Slayer because I'm not angry that he said this. You know, we can address it. I think people don't like Final Fantasy VII, unfortunately, because you have a stigma to JRPGs. Every time you play one, you point out things about Japanese culture you dislike or you demean otaku culture. It's a turnoff. I can tell when the beach segment of Final Fantasy VII happens, you'll make fun of people for enjoying it. So you listen to negative memes about me, and you actually judge a playthrough that just began on a negative meme that hasn't even happened in the playthrough yet. That's what you're saying. You're literally saying, well, because Final Fantasy VII is going to have one beach scene out of a 60-plus hour playthrough, and because of that one scene, he may make a comment that this is kind of immature, that this is in the game, the entire playthrough sucks. What the fuck is wrong with people like that? No, really. I have to ask you this question. What is wrong with you? This is a 60-hour game with tons of gameplay elements, awesome narrative, great combat right now that I'm actually getting better at and learning. I learned something at the end of the last stream last night. I was like, oh, that's interesting. You know, tons of content that I'm loving. Absolutely loving the game. I told you, actually, this is stacking up to be a great game. Maybe one of my Game of the Year picks, I'm thinking, right? But the playthrough sucks because there's going to be a beach scene where I'm going to make a comment that I don't like, that everyone's in bikinis. What the fuck are you talking about? Really? What the fuck? Just listen to what you just said. Right? Like, huh? That makes no sense whatsoever. Listen, be immature. Say what you want. I don't have to participate in that kind of commentary or whatever. I don't. And that's fine. But I'm not going to say... Do you really think that when that scene comes up, we're just going to pause the playthrough and I'm going to go on a 2-hour rant about how horrible it is that scene's in the game? No, it's a Japanese game. It's part of their culture. They like that kind of silly stuff. In fact, what a lot of people don't realize about this, and when they have scenes with like, oh, there's risque clothing or a sexual reference, they actually find that comedic. They don't find that like, oh, it's perverted. They think of it as comedy. Like, sexual content is part of Japanese comedy, correct? They'll have that in there to get a laugh. So that scene to Japanese people is funny. Haha, look, here's Barrett. He's going to be in a sailor suit, and Cloud in a, you know, skimpy Speedo underwear, and the girls in bikinis. Haha, it's uncomfortable, but it's funny, right? They get a laugh out of it. But they don't perv over it, but people do. And then they think, oh, you see, well, if you don't like that, you hate it. What are you talking about? I like, just because I might not want to partake in a scene like that, because I'm 40 some years old and I'm happily married and I don't look for that in video games because I'm past that point in my life, doesn't mean the playthrough sucks. It's literally one scene. It's going to last, what, 2 minutes out of a 60-hour playthrough. The fact that you even said that in the tip is remarkable. I mean, wow. Anyone who has that mindset, you got to reevaluate yourself. If you think that someone's playthrough of a video game sucks because there was one optional silly joke scene added in by the Japanese game devs, and a person may, it didn't even happen yet, the person may say something like, oh, this is silly, why is this in there? Like, what are you talking about? Is this really how everyone on the internet is in 2024? I mean, that's ridiculous. What an insane statement. I can't believe it. Oh, let's see here. Arthur has tipped me $1.23 and says, I love the beard and attire. You look like you're very comfy today. Actually, that was the intention. Being that today is React Day, and I'm just going to sit back and react to a bunch of stuff and no gameplay, that's actually what I'm going for. I just wanted to have a nice, comfy, relaxing day, and that's what we're going to do today. So, thank you for the tip. Excuse me. Well, Epic Kirk rebrushed up the dollar, says, it's time to launch DS Politics. The world's ready. You might watch Star Wars 9. It's the best one. What? The Epic Kirk rebrushed the Jedi on the streets, but the Sith in the sheets, signing off. Why did you say that? Oh, God. Why did you say that, Kirk? Oh, my God. That's awful. Jedi in the streets, Sith in the sheets. What the hell? It's so bad. Oy, oy, oy. Anyway, continuing on. Oh, my God. All right, Kirk did another dollar tip. He says, you never should grow up when you're, as far as your content is concerned. Look at Michael Bay. He's forever a teenage boy. His films are great. For example, The Rock, Armageddon, nothing but childish jokes, loud action, and beautiful women inclusiveness. You should think about it. Oh, my God. Ay, ay, ay. Yo, the cringe level is so high right now. The cringe meter is hitting perhaps the maximum. Like, the way I see it, like, there's different levels of cringe, and, like, the maximum is, like, what's his name from Power Rangers? What's the name of the robot from Power Rangers? I can't remember his name. He goes, ay, 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 right? Like, that's the ultimate cringe. So it's like, oh, no. Oh, God. Ay, 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 ultimate cringe explosion. Alpha, that was his name? Alpha 5. Ultimate cringe, dude. It's like a thermometer keeps rising, and it gets to the top and explodes. Ay, 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 ay. Cringe level. Oh, my Lord. Anyway. A Jedi in the streets. A Sith in the sheets. Oh, my God. Anyway. I received a $25 tip from 1 Minute Man, and he has some interesting take on this situation with all these RPGs. So let's, first of all, thank you 1 Minute Man for the generous tip as always every morning. The ongoing support is greatly appreciated. I'm curious to hear his take on all of this that we're talking about today. Okay? Okay, he says, you have correctly observed many RPGs are all being released at this time. As a variety streamer, that leaves you in a tight spot because there's really a lack of alternatives. Not all RPGs are created equal, just like not all Westerns are the same. Some are much more immersive and compelling than others to an extent that others seem tame. Remember the ancient saying, the customer is always right. How do you play the game matters. Case in point, you could easily have saved Volo in your last Baldur's Gate 3 stream with a few bottles of water. Instead, he's gone and his storyline is gone. See, the thing is, I didn't even realize what was going on. This I will admit, again, with a game like Baldur's Gate, I sometimes forget in the middle of the game that literally there's no pause, right? In Baldur's Gate, like, everything is always happening no matter what. There's always something going on. There's moving gears. There's moving components. And I tend to think, oh, it's like an RPG where when there's fights, you're isolated. You're in the fight. That's the fight. When the fight's done, then we're back to advancement of the universe and the story. I'm not thinking in my head, oh, there's Volo tied up in the street, and if I don't do something during the fight, he's going to die. Like, I don't even think of that in my head once. And then, if you haven't noticed, every single time in the playthrough where this has been the case, I failed. Early on in Act 1, there was Minthra or whatever her was, Minthara, and everyone's like, yeah, if you save her, she comes back later in the game and can become a companion. Guess what I did? I killed her by accident, right? Like, I'm terrible at that because that's really not present in any other RPG I've played. Every RPG is like, oh, you're in combat. This is a separate segment, right? So that I haven't gotten out of that mindset yet. I literally had no feeling in my head that Volo was in danger during that fight. And you're right, now he's dead, and I'm going to live with that consequence. You know, I'm not going to go back. There's not much I can do about it now. But fair enough, you're correct. He says, if you make a person unhappy in the physical world, they could tell 5 people on the internet that it becomes 10,000. You're right. You're absolutely right. And that, I mean, I think that's what happened to me, is back in the day, I was popular via word of mouth. Like, I didn't have advertising. I didn't have people going around and saying, oh, Darkside Phil's the best YouTuber, right? Instead, it was word of mouth. People were like, wow, that guy's really irreverent. The commentary he does is funny. He's different. He's not corporate. He's not a sellout. He's not a shill. He's not pushing products. He's not kissing games' butts. He tells it like it is. And he's very entertaining with his commentary that's out there, that he's not afraid to say anything, right? So that's how I got popular. And then what ended up happening was that exact same method of word-of-mouth popularity turned against me at some point when This Is How You Don't Play hit. When This Is How You Don't Play hit, it was like, so now for the same reasons we liked him, we don't like him. Well, he's unprofessional. Well, he doesn't have a production budget. Well, it's just a one-man show. He hasn't upgraded his setup in a million years. He refuses to change. He refuses to improve, right? He's stubborn. He's obstinate, right? I agree with all those criticisms, actually. You know, in retrospect, you look back, you're like, everyone was dead right. But I was so stubborn and obstinate thinking my shit didn't stink because I was the popular YouTuber that I thought just keep rolling with the way it's going. And it killed me. This Is How You Don't Play literally was my undoing in those early days, you know. Not today's crazy different with the insane amount of stalkers and conspiracy theorists all based around making negative content that goes viral and then they make money on it. But back then, right? Definitely back then, that was my major mistake, was not taking in that criticism and improving, but instead kind of condemning it and saying, oh, I hate this. They're using my content without my permission and stuff like that, right? So you're right. And you're right. In case in point, when you're talking about various different things of current playthroughs and things that I'm doing, you know, if it upsets a few people, they might spread the word, well, now this sucks, right? See, the thing is with Baldur's Gate, I always told you guys since the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing. I was going to have to learn on the fly. I was definitely going to need your input and your help and your engagement to figure things out. And I appreciate that. That's why I've gotten so far in the game. That's why we're actually going to finish it. But I always knew that playthrough wasn't going to be great when it comes to, well, this is like he really did all the right choices in a master level run and stuff like that. I knew I was going to make tons of mistakes because I'm not comfortable in that style of universe. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, is it a pimple? It is a pimple. I just saw it on camera. Like, what the hell is that? And it hurts when I touch it. I'm like, fuck. Anyway, it was distracting. Anyway, no, I hear you. And that's the problem with, sadly, the internet, is instead of checking out DSP or DSPGaming for all the good things he's done, you'll only hear about the things that everyone was talking about, the negative thing that happened, right? And you're right, that's the internet right now. The 10,000 people who want to dump on you rather than the people who, you know, are enjoying your content. But anyway, thanks for the tip. And yeah, I mean, I've got to keep going with what I'm doing. I mean, I've invested so much time in a Baldur's Gate. We're gonna beat it, and I'm bringing it back into the fold now. We've got to balance Baldur's Gate with everything else, so we will. It's going to be Baldur's Gate and Final Fantasy VII basically played equally at this point. Okay? Okay. Christopher tipped me $3.01. He says, I felt that last year, it was actually a pretty slow year for game releases. But then later in the year, it picked up with fun games, and it got me feeling optimistic for this year. Last year was weird because it was like 3 waves for me. The first wave was like Resident Evil 3 Remake. And the truth is, before then, it was slow. Like, not Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Before Resident Evil 4 Remake, the year was going really slow. Besides Hogwarts, and Hogwarts had that surge of popularity at first, but then over a few weeks it died out, right? So really it was Resident Evil was the big one for early in the year, paired with Hogwarts. Then it was dead for like 2-3 months. Then Street Fighter VI came out. And for me, that was really what carried me through the summer because people wanted to see me play competitive Street Fighter again. And I did. I dedicated time. I learned the mechanics. I got better. I got characters to high ranks to master. I was playing the different modes. You know, that was a great thing that it came out in June like that. If it wasn't for that, it probably would have been a much deader year for me. But Street Fighter VI really righted the ship, especially at a time, if you remember, with all the negativity around the stupid side-scrollers interview. That was completely a bait and switch for me. It made me look awful. So then I needed something to reinvigorate people, and it absolutely, positively was Street Fighter VI. But that carried me all the way into the fall. And then when the fall came, you had great games like Lies of P and stuff like that. So you're right, it was like 3 waves. Like early on, it was Hogwarts and Resident Evil 4, then nothing. Then Street Fighter VI, then nothing. Then the fall games like Lies of P and everything else. It was like 3 waves of good games. Right now, we absolutely are within a wave of good games. But the problem is it's all the same type, right? Like, I keep telling you this. Imagine if Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Mortal Kombat 1 all came out within 2 months. Just think about that for a second. You'd be like, what? Who could even follow that much? 3 fighting games in 2 months? Now, they're all different. They're all different universes. They play different, but they're all fighting games. They all would have killed each other, right? So then what's the difference between Like a Dragon, Persona 3, Grand Blue, Final Fantasy VII, and me playing Baldur's Gate all at once? It's actually the same situation. But just because you think RPG versus fighting games is different, no, it's the same. It's exactly the same. Okay. Lord Prince Albert did a super chat. I heard in Japan, adults... Well, I'm not saying that. That's awful. In Japan, I'm sure adults do a lot of things to each other. But there's no way I'm talking about that one. Thank you. Thank you, Lord Prince Albert, for the super chat. All right. Yikes. Okay. Okay. So last chance. Anyone have anything they want to talk about quick? If not, we'll adjourn because we do have to get set up for the React show. And I do have to use the restroom before we start. So any quick topics of discussion, or shall we just adjourn? Because I do have to set up the other channel and everything. Remember what's going to happen. It's React Day. So you're going to see a pop-up on the screen that says, hey, click here, head over to DSP Reacts, and that channel will start rolling over there. Sea of Stars will return later in the year. No Sleeper Vibes. Don't worry. It's going to be much later this year when we have openings. Essentially, you know all the RPGs we're playing right now? When they're done, then we'll play other RPGs. Sea of Stars has to wait till we're done with this big slew of stuff that we're working on. So... Okay. All right, guys, let's adjourn. Like I said, I need time. I got to move over and get set up now. So thank you guys for watching the show. I would love your feedback. Please leave comments on the video. Please let me know what you think about today's discussion. All right? Let me know what you think about the stuff that's going well as the stuff that's kind of stagnant. I want to hear all your opinions. Do you have opinions on how to turn things around? Do you have any opinions on what you like right now, what you don't like, right? Please give me feedback. Feedback is critical to success in the modern era. So thank you very much. And I appreciate you all hanging out with me. And tomorrow, I'm sure we'll be recapping how the React Day went and go from there. All right, thank you guys. See you Monday.